Big story at 9 o'clock this morning. The search continues for a Maryland man wanted in connection with the brutal murders of 4 people found in a burning home in Northwest D.C. Now, D.C. police have identified that man as 34-year-old Daron Wint. He has a long criminal history dating back 10 years in Prince George's County. Fox 5's Annie Yu live in Lanham this morning outside of his house with more on a break in the case. Annie?
Good morning to all of you. You know, there are still a lot of questions that remain, but I think one of the most important questions is how did Daron Wint know the Savopoulos family? Here we are live outside of his home. This is where police believe the suspect lived with his father, and from what we understand from neighbors, there was another adult woman and teenage female that lived in this home. We don't know the connections here, but they were out here late last night searching this home behind me. They believe that they were searching here with K9 units, looking for any evidence really that could help them sort of piece all this together. We know that officials spoke to Wint's father for quite some time. 34-year-old Daron Wint, is the man that police are looking for. He's wanted on charges of first-degree murder in connection to the deaths of both Amy and Savvas Savopoulos, their young son, and their housekeeper, Veralicia Figueroa. Now, according to court records, as you mentioned, he has a pretty lengthy criminal history, everything ranging from domestic violence, assault, and burglary. We don't know exactly how this all came to be, but our Paul Wagner confirmed with his sources that police were able to connect Wint's DNA to pizza crust found inside the Woodland Drive home. Now, investigators say on Wednesday around midnight, a Domino's pizza delivery man left 2 pizzas at the front door of the Savopoulos home where there was an envelope with cash left inside. I spoke to a neighbor who's lived here for almost 10 years who knows the suspect's father and says that Daron was at the home. He saw Daron at the home right here on the front porch shortly after the bodies were discovered in Northwest. So overall, he describes Daron as a quiet person, kept to himself, didn't really have many friends here. He said a lot of family members did come and go. Another neighbor who's lived here for 2 years says he did see many people coming and going from this home. But overall, they were a hardworking family. And so this is the latest that we're getting here. No one in this neighborhood so far that we've spoken to has seen the blue Porsche. So that's another question that we're trying to answer here. That is the very latest here in Lanham, Maryland. Annie Yu, Fox 5 Local News.
Well, for more on the case, the immense amount of work that's gone into it, and what comes next, we turn now to Fox 5's Paul Wagner. He's been working this story since it happened, was very busy yesterday, and definitely gained a lot of ground yesterday, Paul. Right. So, you know, kudos to you for all that you've done. So where do we stand now, and do we really know anything more about this guy?
I was basically able to do a quick search on him this morning, go into Maryland case search and look at his name and see what cases. And I didn't see anything that stood out to me to say, wow, this is a really violent guy. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of assaults, but there's a lot of traffic cases. But I was only able to look in Maryland. I didn't get into the Virginia case search or D.C. case search to see if his name and date of birth matched up. So there's still a lot of work for us to do as reporters today on this guy. The next question is, where is he? I'm sure that the U.S. Marshal Service will be involved in trying to find this guy and try and track him down. It's going to be a big job. But now that his photograph is out there, you got 3 photographs out there that I've seen. Somebody's going to recognize this guy somewhere. Somebody's going to see him flashing cash. We know he has a lot of cash now. Where is he? How did he get out of the area? These days, with the social media and photographs spreading so quickly, it's possible that they could track this guy down fairly quickly.
Seems like from what Annie said earlier, he's been at the house recently, so perhaps not too far away at this point. At least that's the hope. What did you learn more about the link in between how police were able to track this down to him?
What we know is, and we reported this yesterday, that there were 2 pizzas delivered to the house on Wednesday night around midnight. This is the night before the bodies were found on Thursday. What we know is, and it was confirmed by Domino's, that they had delivered these 2 pizzas. They were left at the door, and then there was an envelope with cash there for the delivery man to take. This delivery man never saw anyone. Now we know, and we've independently confirmed, that DNA was taken from a pizza crust that was found at the scene, and that it was confirmed and linked to this man. This is done very, very quickly, let me tell you, because DNA doesn't usually turn around this quick. My understanding is, excuse me, that this DNA was taken to a federal lab and it was turned around very, very quick. Now, how did they make the connection? Typically, these connections are made when that DNA profile is put into the National DNA Data Bank, typically it's called, people refer to it as CODIS. It's very possible that his DNA was already in the DNA data bank. We have not confirmed that. We don't know that for a fact. The other way to do it is when you have a suspect and you know that you have this suspect's DNA, is that you compare it one-to-one, okay? So just as an example, let's say they went to his house. The police went to his house. They got something from his house that they know his DNA was on, okay? Let's say a comb or a hat that he wore, something like that. They took that DNA and then they compared it to the DNA profile that they had. That's possibly how they did it. We don't know yet. We're trying to work on that. Or it was already in the DNA data bank. So that connection was made very quickly.
Paul, just very quickly in our last 30 seconds, I know a lot of people are saying this, they think that there has to be more than one suspect. How can this one person carry this heinous crime out alone? I know it's a loaded question, but are you getting any sense that there might be more suspects being sought?
Well, we've only seen that video showing one person. I know that there's a theory that there were two involved, but we just don't know. It's at this point, this part of the investigation, yeah, everybody's wondering how can one person control four people inside a home and do what they did.
And why? Any more in the relationship between him and this home or this family?
We're working on it. Yeah, we're working on it.
Oh, it's such a difficult story.
Don't know just yet.
But you know what? Something new is coming out every day. And like you said, they're working the case quickly, as are you. So
yeah, we're getting leads here and there, and they're leading to all this stuff that we're reporting. So we're going to work on it more today.
We'll look for your report at 5.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Paul.
right. Thank you.